What happened to all the musical legends that transformed our lives in the 60s, 70s, and 80s? Today, hackers illegally download music. Online music stores popularize cheap digital singles. And radio stations promote manufactured singers that menace the airwaves with auto-tuned music. The Rockstar Chronicles conveys the wisdom and truth of a generation of rock gods that shaped our modern musical culture. It features intimate conversations with over 45 rock stars that any baby boomer will instantly recognize. The Rockstar Chronicles will transport you back to a time before advertisers ruled the airwaves. A time when the music mattered.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Interviewing the Legends, brought to you by the Publicity Works Agency, devoted to promoting musicians and authors worldwide. Call us today at 941-877-1552 to start your free publicity evaluation. Remember, we shine only when we make you shine. Please welcome the host of Interviewing the Legends, music journalist, author, and entrepreneur, Ray Shasho.
Hello once again, everyone. I'm your host, Ray Shasho. Welcome to another edition of Interviewing the Legends on BBS Radio, brought to you by the Publicity Works Agency. Call us today at 941-877-1552 or email us at publicityworksagency.com. Remember, we shine only when we make you shine. And by the Rockstar Chronicles, my new book. It features over 45 intimate conversations with the greatest music legends the world will ever know. It's available now at bookbaby.com and amazon.com. You'll love it. Very few legendary rock groups boasting a string of seminal 1970s hits contain three original members in their ranks more than 4 decades later. Even fewer have a brand new album out that vividly captures the sound and power of their best-known classics. Well, Firefall has both. That's reason for serious celebration from their legion of loyal fans, and I'm one of them. Firefall hasn't made a new record for a long, long time, since the 90s, says Jock Bartley, the band's founding lead guitarist and vocalist, with 3 of us original guys in the band. Myself, Mark Andes on bass, and David Muse on saxophone, flute, and keyboards. We've been touring, and it just felt to me as leader of the band, it's time. We need to start looking at writing material to put a new album out. Comet was released in December 11th on Sunset Boulevard Records. Is that long-awaited release? Their lineup completed by drummer Sandy Fica and singer-guitarist Gary Jones. Firefall set out to make an album on the same lofty artistic par as their 70s classics for Atlantic Records. The band had overcome a few obstacles along the way. The problem was that the 5 members of the band live in 5 different states, says Jock, who produced the disc along with the band and a handful of collaborators. Conquering those logistical roadblocks was worth all the effort. Firefall cut its 1976 Atlantic debut album at Criteria Studios in Miami. It included You Are the Woman. Rick was thinking in his head, I need to write a really happy, positive pop song that'll be in the top 10. And he wrote You Are the Woman, says Jock. Some of us in the band didn't really like it because it was really different. It wasn't like Mexico or Livin' Ain't Livin' or Cinderella or any of that strummy, fast, ballsy stuff that Firefall was becoming. But boy, most everybody, including the producer and then Atlantic Records, they heard that song and they went, that's what we want. You Are the Woman crashed the top 10 in the 1977s. Just Remember I Love You and Strange Way the next year cemented their stardom. Boulder, Colorado became this hotbed for music, and Firefall was kind of the shining light out of that, says Jock. A lot of people have called Firefall the Colorado sound. New Comet is poised to rocket into the cosmos, the last chapter in Firefall's amazing saga. And today, we please welcome American singer, songwriter, composer, producer, multi-instrumentalist with legendary classic rock artist Firefall, David Muse. Hello, David.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm a big Firefall fan from way back, from the beginning.
Oh, well, we thank you for that. I thank you for that, for keeping me working over the years.
I saw you guys not that long ago. I think it was maybe 2 years ago, a year and a half by now. You were at Ruth Eckerd, and you played with Pablo Cruz and the Little River Band. And David, I got to tell you, man, I've witnessed Jethro Tull and Ian Anderson maybe 6-7 times in my lifetime, but your flute solo was super magnificent. It was the best flute solo I've ever heard in my life.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, it's flute is one of my favorite instruments. I play a lot of different instruments, but woodwinds were my first love, and so, you know, I mean, I try to do what I do, and I got a lot of hot air in me.
Is that what it takes?
That's what it takes.
And you got enough to play the saxophone too, right?
Well, yeah, you know, that's the whole thing. You know, I mean, actually, when I started out in early bands, I didn't really play as much in bands. Of course, there wasn't much call for it at that point in time. Of course, that's going back quite a few years, you know.
That's true. But we're lucky. We have a lot of great musicians that did come from Tampa and the Clearwater area over the years, and you know, the Outlaws is one of them. You got you and so many others. You know. Yeah.
We have Rodney Justo from Atlanta Rhythm Section.
Right.
You know, so you know he lives in Tampa too, and it's kind of funny. Rodney and I we go back a long ways. Way back in the day, there was a thing in Clearwater here called the Star Spectacular, where they'd have concerts, you know, and they'd bring in a guy named A.J. Perry, and Tampa would bring in one national act and have like 3 or 4 little, you know, local bands play, and that's where I got my first big taste of the big stage. We opened up for Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels, and Rodney had a band back then, and they were very popular, and then, of course, he went on to, you know, the Atlanta Rhythm Section's, you know, singer, so.
Yeah, we were just talking before the call about Joe Lala. You know, Joe always wanted to be considered an official member of Firefall. He loved the band.
Mm-hmm. Well, he did, and you know, I mean, that's a weird story. He played with us on, you know, pretty much all those first CDs, and whenever we could get a hold of him. But you know, at that particular time, he was, you know, he was like the #1 session player in LA when it came to percussion. So he was a very busy young man, and like you say, you visit his apartment. I visited his apartment over there too, and if you know, when you first come in the door, you know, the whole wall is lined with gold and platinum albums. I go, you know, I mean, I knew Joe had played on a lot of things, but I remember being there one day, go, damn, Joe, you know, how many records did you play on? Yeah.
Yeah, he was on the Saturday Night Fever album. You know, he did a lot of session work on that too. Yeah.
Yeah, and ended up being an actor and doing TV shows. I mean, he was a very, you know, very accomplished and talented and funny guy, and just a nice guy all around, you know. So.
And I believe you started out as a barber, right?
I never heard that.
Yeah?
No, I didn't know that, no.
Yeah, he was a barber.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, hey, you know, I mean, hey, if you're going to have a barber, he'd be one who could sit there and tell you some stories, you know.
Well, that'd be great. He'd make a terrific barber. You guys are, and I'm hoping it happens, you guys are scheduled again for Ruth Eckerd, July 23rd of this year.
Yeah.
And it's you guys.
That happened, you know,
Yeah, I know.
You know, we have some dates earlier than that, but I just don't know with the COVID going on here if those are going to happen or not. So we basically have some dates in March. But
right.
I don't think they're going to happen. The way things are going right now. But we'll see.
Well, that show has you, Poco, and Pure Parity. That's a great lineup.
Oh yeah. Well, we played with Poco, of course. Rusty kind of took a little sabbatical and wasn't playing for a while. So, but over the last few years, we toured with Poco a lot. Of course, I'm spacing out the other band you mentioned. Poco and who?
Pure Prairie League.
Oh, Pure Prairie League. Oh yeah. We play with those guys all the time.
Oh yeah.
So, it's a good lineup. I mean, it's all compatible music, and we're all good friends, and we get along, and love being together out on the road. I really, I haven't played a gig since the end of February last year, so I'm jonesing to get back out on the road and get back out there with my friends, and being, feel so lucky to do what I do and be able to play for the people. I really miss that. So.
Well, we miss you guys, man. I mean, without music, we're all lost.
Music does play a big part in our life,
It does.
So, and, I appreciate that. I've had a wonderful career, thanks to my buddy Rick Roberts, who started Firefall, along with Jock, but I probably wouldn't have been in the band if it hadn't been for Ricky, so.
Yeah, I had Rick on the show. He's a great guy. I've had Jock on the show, and I've had Mark on the show. I mean, all you guys are, A1 with me, man. You guys are great.
All right. Well, I'm glad I can finally get to talk with you then, so complete the circle here.
There you go. You attended. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, our dear friend Mr. Michael Clark is no longer with us.
I know.
I sadly won't get to speak with you, but I can tell you about Michael. He was one of a kind guy, and I really miss him dearly. Even though I grew up with Ricky, and we're dear friends, I probably hung out with Michael more than anybody else in the old days on the road. We used to play tennis and stuff, and
right.
When he'd get out of hand, I'd go, Michael, go somewhere else. He always respected that, and we always got along.
Do you still talk to Rick once in a while?
Oh, I talk to him all the time. Yeah. He's doing good.
Good.
I mean, he's had several books out, and he was out last year, I think. And the year before, him and Larry were out doing a duo thing, for a while. But I don't know if they're still doing that or not. Now, of course, with the way gigs are these days, I know they haven't been doing it lately, but I don't know if they have plans to continue on or not, but that was kind of a good thing. Don Chapman along with them, and they did a little trio thing, and they would go out and play their Firefall songs, so it's good, going back to the band, everything, even though we have three original guys in the band, Jock and Mark and myself, we were kind of the music and the meat behind it, but,
right.
Ricky's songwriting and vocals and Larry's songwriting and vocals, I mean, we all had a part to play. That's the way I explain it, it's kind of like the spokes in a wheel, we all fit in and everybody brought something to the table, and it turned pretty good,
Well, you got some great, talented musicians in the band. I mean, you can't go wrong. You guys are so tight. The band is so tight, and every time you're on the bill with all these other guys, like when I saw you, you always blow everybody away, in my opinion.
Well, hey, I appreciate that. You certainly do. We're just very lucky and fortunate to have the fans that we do that still come out and support us and keep us working. It's a good thing because I could never hold down a day job. So I'm very thankful for the fans. For keeping me working.
That ovation you got after your flute solo was incredible, man. At Ruth Eckerd. I mean,
we pretty much get that every night. I mean, because I think, more than anything else, it's just something that, people come out to rock shows, they don't, unless you seen Jethro Tull or somebody, you don't see a lot of Flute,
Right.
Actually, I don't know if you know or not, I played, after Jerry retired from Marshall Tucker, I played with Marshall Tucker band for 10 years, and Jerry, the reason I got that job was because we used to play together a lot in the old days, and matter of fact, we opened up Madison Square Garden, with a headliner show with Marshall Tucker and Firefall, but, Jerry and I pretty much did the same thing, played keyboards and horns and sax and flute, so it was a pretty easy transition for me in between Firefall to go do that for a while, so.
Yeah, that Marshall Tucker must have been a fun gig.
Yeah, it was fun. It was different. I think I'm lucky my wife didn't divorce me. I think the first year I joined them, we were on the road like 230 days out of the year, so it was like, a little more than I expected, but, it was all good, They're a bunch of good fellas, and, sadly to say, it's like most rock bands, there weren't many original members in the band.
Yeah.
Doug was still in the band, but it was basically Doug and Jerry, and then Jerry decided to quit, and so I got the job, but it's like, it's like a lot of bands, like Little River Band. I don't even know if there's any original members in Little River Band, but, people would come up sometimes and, complain. It's like, you guys aren't Marshall Tucker, where's Tori, or where's Tommy, and I'd go, well, they're dead, so, you're going to have to go to heaven if you want to hear the original lineup again. This is Marshall Tucker, 2000 or, 1999 or, whatever you want to call it, but It's just what it is. And that's the situation with a lot of, more classic rock bands. They don't have all the original members.
Right.
That's totally the part, because it does change the sound up a little bit. It's just like Firefall. I really, as much as I respect Jerry's voice and everything, I really miss Ricky's voice and Larry's voice and stuff, but we are what we are, with Firefall, 2020 and 21, and, we're still heading down the road.
It's funny, I've lived here now for about 18 years in Florida, but I came from D.C., and I used to listen to Larry on classic rock radio.
Oh, yeah. Well, Larry used to, one of our managers was Jack Boyle, who used to own Solador.
That's right,
and,
yeah.
Yeah, and so that's where Larry actually got, he played at the Solador a couple times, and I think Ricky, when he got in the band, was Ricky met Larry. He got a cab, and Larry was cab driver at the time, and I think he took Ricky to the airport. They got to talking and stayed in communications, and, I think Larry sent Rick some songs and stuff, so when they were forming the band, Ricky told the rest of the guys, I know this guy in D.C., we need to get him out here, and Ricky played Cinderella for him, and they said, all right, get him out here.
Oh, I love Solador concerts, man. You know how many concerts I've seen under that umbrella, Solador, especially at the Cap.
Quite a few.
Yeah.
Hey, Jack Boyle was a kind of one of a kind. I really liked Jack a lot.
Me too.
Shooter, you don't want to mess with him. You didn't want to be on his bad side, but he was always a straight shooter, and I appreciate that. Because a lot of times there's so much bull crap going on in the industry. When someone gets straight up with you, you really appreciate it.
Right. So. Exactly. Before I get into the new album, I want to talk about a lost gem. Okay, Forgotten Journey.
Oh, okay.
I gave that 5 stars, man. I love that album. I do like jazz. I love smooth jazz, and you are so freaking talented on that album. You got it's you and Ron Reinhardt also.
Ron Reinhardt, Dave Reinhardt, and Tim George, who are pretty much staples around this area here. Ron plays with Dave Coz and all kinds of people, and Dave used to play. I was in Richard Elliott's band, and so was Ron, and Tim is he's a school teacher, but he's one of the best bass players I've ever played with. Yeah, so you're exactly right. We have a lot of talented musicians around here, so
you've got a couple of tunes that kind of had a little bit of a Latin flair that you could have used Joe on. Did you hear me?
Yeah. Actually, Joe did play on one track.
Did he really?
But not on Forgotten Journey. It was on the CD that I put out before that, which was called Firefall Revisited. And what I did with that was take a bunch of our hits and redid them groove-wise a little bit. And rather than being, vocally and lyrically there, I just basically did them instrumentally and, kind of put a little smooth jazz feel to it, And actually, the one song on there that wasn't a Firefall song was a song I wrote called Nestor, and Joe played on that track before he died, because I started it quite a few years, so.
Well, you got a track called Que Sabor, which means what flavor, and that had the Latin flair to it. You had a couple of tunes that kind of sounded Latin. Yeah.
Well, I love Latin music.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's always appealed to me. And one of my favorite flute players, especially in the jazz world, is Nestor Torres. I really appreciate his playing and stuff. And actually, when I wrote that song, Nestor, that's who I wrote it for. He was my inspiration.
I love the album, man. And you were talking about Ron Reinhardt. Ron's done work with, I think, Rick Derringer, Jeff Berlin.
Oh, yeah.
Jeff Berlin, which I think Jeff was from Tampa as well in that area. Yeah. Great bass player. And, the tracks you have, you did Unchain My Heart, the Ray Charles tune, written by Bobby Sharp.
Yeah, I'll give you a little heads up on that, In the front of that song is like, you hear this little voice going, "Don't do me like that."
Right.
That is Ray Charles.
Really?
That come off of a CD that a friend gave me. It's not a CD out. It's just like when Ray Charles came into the studio with Ahmet Ertegun, and this was before they signed him. They were going through songs and stuff, and anyway, they did that song, and he just happened at one point in there to go, "Don't do me like that," and I go, "I gotta use that."
Oh, it's awesome. Love it.
Yeah. So, I mean, a little history there. Put Ray Charles on my CD, even if he just says, "Don't do me like that."
And you got Love Will Find a Way. You got some girl singers in the background, right?
Yeah. That's a couple of local girls from Tampa here.
They're good.
Yeah. Melania, I forget the names. I'm not really that good friends with them because I took the lead of my engineer and go, "Man, I need some background vocals on this. Who can I use?" And he turned me on to these girls, and they did a great job, So
they're excellent. They're really, really good.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
That was the whole thing I wanted to have. Like even with the Firefall Revisited, I have some friends of mine, Pam Rose from Nashville, and another fella, I forget his name, but he was from Australia, a big name in Australia, but they did the background vocals on that, and actually Pam had sang on one of my songs that I had on Clouds Across the Sun, Dreamers. She helped with background vocals, so it made a lot of sense to use them on that. Actually, on that album too, I've got Jock playing on it a little bit, and Ricky actually singing just the hook on "Just Remember I Love," or no, "Goodbye I Love You." I'm sorry, not "Just Remember," but
right.
"Goodbye." So I tried.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. Well, the tune "Your Sweet Love." Is that a mixture of? Doesn't that have Anita Baker in it as well, or is that a?
No. That song I wrote, "Sweet Love."
Right.
It sounds like her big hit, but it's not her hit at all. It's an original song. It's just it sounded so much like that. I go, I'll call it "Sweet Love." So it's not. But no, it's not Anita Baker, and it's not her song. So.
Yeah, very R&B influenced, though. Definitely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounded, when the song was written, it goes, sound like Anita Baker, you know.
Yep.
So, it made sense, you know. So.
And you got funky with Twilight Delight.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I didn't know what to do with that track. It's just a party track.
Right.
It starts out, you know, it's just a funky grooving kind of thing, and you know, that's it's kind of funny about the name. I was trying to figure out what the name of the song, and we were sitting in the studio with George Harris, who has a studio here. Anyway, sitting in the studio with him and trying to figure out what to call that, and he had we were eating some chocolate, and the name of the chocolate was Twilight Delight. And I go, that's it.
That's funny.
Anyway, I appreciate you talking about these CDs, because I've had them out for a couple of years. They're on my website, and you know, on YouTube. I have a site on YouTube, David Muse, and a TV channel and stuff. So anybody wants to check them out, they can check them out there. But I guess we're supposed to be talking about
Firefall. Well, I was so impressed by the album, I had to mention it because I really love it.
Appreciate that.
Yeah,
I appreciate that, and I really appreciate that, and thank you for bringing it up, because I was proud of it too. I thought it turned out pretty good. You know?
Excellent. I hope you do more of that too.
Oh, I will. I've got a couple of projects in the works here. All the downtime that we had this year, I've actually started working on another CD, and I actually have two CDs in the works. One's going to be a little more rocky, and then one's new age CD that I started probably 12 years ago.
Wow.
And it's been 95% complete, but I just never finished it, you know. So I figured, well, hey, it could be a good time to finish it off, you know, because like we were talking about earlier, I have some friends like Michael Emmett, who was co-writer on Ghost Town on the Comet CD,
right,
with Tony White.
Yep.
And you know, he's on the CD, and I go, well, he's no longer with us, but I'm going, I need to honor him and get this thing done and put it out, you know. So.
Well, you know, Ghost Town, and There She Is, I mean, if radio was normal like it used to be, those two, I think, would have been hits, you know?
Well, I think I brought in Ghost Town because, I thought, well, you know, out of all the songs we were doing, you know, or had started at that point, I was thinking, well, you know, this one really lends itself to the Firefall sound. You know, this could be, you know, kind of like the old. And, you know, on Comet we progressed, and it's a new band because we have new members, you know, even with Sandy being there on drums, even though he's been there for 40 years or whatever. I mean, he's not the original, not Michael Clark, you know, but anyway, you know, I forgot the point I was going to make.
I do that too. Well, you're talking about Michael Clark.
Yeah. But, you know, it's, you know, that song, I know what I was going to say. It's like, the CD was hard to make because, like you mentioned earlier, you know, we all live in 5 different states, and, you know, so it's not like the old days where we get together at the rehearsal hall and we rehearse 2 weeks and come up with the songs, and then, you know, bring in a producer and he'd work with us a little bit, and next thing we're in the studio cutting the album and it'd be all done. You know, this time took quite a few years to put this together because we were never at the same place at the same time. You know, we were out on the road playing, and then nobody wanted to hang out after we'd been out on the road for a few days, and everybody wanted to get home, you know, so it's, and I have to give Jock credit, you know, for pushing this thing through because, you know, it was really, you know, his persistence, I think, that really helped us finish this thing, and it was very important for us, you know, because with not being able to be on the road touring, you know, we had to try to figure out somewhere to stay in touch with the band and go, well, let's finish this thing up. And so we did, you know.
Well, how did you prepare for this with everybody in different towns? How do you practice? You know, for
there wasn't any practice. We just kind of get together in the studio together and put it together from there. You know, and then when we work together, I mean, I have a studio at my house, and pretty much everybody had a studio, and Gary had access. He was in Nashville, so he had access to whatever studio he wanted to use. So I did a lot of the overdubs in my studio, and then we did where I did my jazz CDs. Jock came down one time, and I put some B3 on Slow Down and a couple other songs, and used the studio here. But everybody was basically doing things. I mean, there was a couple places where we all got together. We got together in Nashville at this one studio there, and we basically cut a couple basic tracks, and some of them made it, and some of them didn't.
Yeah. Well, you got a nostalgia track on there called Way Back When, which is great. I mean, it mentions all the great 60s bands,
Yeah, that's I know Jock's written a lot of songs, but I give Jock a compliment. I mean, because Ricky was such a great lyricist and stuff, and a lot of songs that Jock has written, I mean, he's done a great job, but, I felt that on Way Back When was the best lyrics he's written, so because it was very, current for the time, and, just very relevant, so.
Well, I'm glad you stuck Nature's Way in there as well. I knew that was coming.
Well, yeah, that's been a great song. I mean, I've known that song for years before I was even in Firefall. It's kind of weird, because I go back, speaking about Florida, I saw way back when, before I'd even moved to Atlanta or anywhere else I was living here, they had a pop festival down here. It was Palm Pop Festival. I forget what it's called it. But Spirit was on that bill, and I remember seeing Spirit play, and Mark was in the band, and I had no idea that years later I would be in the same band with this guy. It's like that was quite the festival. It was the Rolling Stones were the headliner, but they didn't come on till like 4 o'clock in the morning, and by that time, me and my buddy, who had been, let's say, partaking of things we probably should have been partaking of, started to get a little high, and then realized we had chiggers, so
Jeez.
it was not a good idea to be tripping and having chiggers,
That's funny. I went to broadcasting school in Fort Lauderdale. That's when I first came down. That was a long time ago, but I saw you guys at remember the Sportatorium, the Hollywood Sportatorium?
Oh, yeah.
You guys, yeah, you guys opened for Heart. I remember that.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that. We did a show there. I think that was the show where we rented a bunch of palm trees and stuff and brought them in.
Right.
I think that, let's see, maybe it was, I don't know. I remember which, time kind of starts to fade on me here. I mean, so many years gone by so fast, I just kind of hard to keep track of it all, so. But I feel so fortunate, to being able to do what I do, and I throw my respect out to all the talented musicians that are out there, because I know a lot of them that deserve to have the opportunities that I've had, and they just don't ever get them, like my friend Michael Emick. I mean, he wrote with everybody in Nashville, but that song Ghost Town was actually first put out by Meatloaf, and then Michael used to write for Lita Ford. I think he did like two CDs where he wrote almost every song on our album, so it's just an honor to be able to, throw a little hoodoo out there to all the musician friends that are great, still playing, and just never get out of the bar scene, which is, that's a hard one.
It is hard.
But it's better than not playing at all.
Exactly. Well, every great musician, every guy I talk to says the only way you're going to even, have a half a chance of making it is you got to get out there and you got to perform, whatever it takes, small clubs, whatever it is, and they can't do that now.
No, you can't do that now, and people ask me, it's like, I'm out on the road, it's like, well, how do you get started in the music business? And I go, well, there's no sure way, you got to be in the right place at the right time and have a certain amount of chops, and then you got a chance,
Right.
You get that one chance to move up to a different level, you got to step up and play, perform sort of like sports, so, if you're on the team and you don't do too good, you get put on the bench, so.
Exactly, yeah. I hear mixed reviews about, getting exposure today, for bands, I got YouTube and I get this and that. But you don't have the guys, the pioneers. I mean, like Jack Boyle and people like that.
No, people. I mean, it is a whole different time. I mean, and people getting careers and building exposure, especially some of these people online. And have 50,000, 100,000 followers. All of a sudden, you get sponsored by things and people making money that way. And it's not the same, though. I mean, it's I can't explain to you. I went from playing in underground Atlanta at a place called Scarlet O'Hara, just a house band there for years when I lived in Atlanta. And we used to play Doobie Brothers songs. And then I joined Firefall. We did the first album, and then next thing I know, we're out touring with Fleetwood Mac and the Doobie Brothers. And the first time we played with the Doobie Brothers, they had us come up and sing and listen to the music on the encore. And I've been singing that song for years. And I'm going, how cool is this?
I love the Doobies. They're a great band, and they're another American band that has been on the scene for such a long time, and they're not stopping. It's like Firefall,
Yeah, they have some great players in that band, though, and like one of my favorite sax players, Mark Russo, used to play with the Yellow Jackets. He's been playing with them for years now. I remember being out on the road with Marshall Tucker, and we listened. I think it was either in Reno or Las Vegas, somewhere out there, but it was an all-day festival show, and Marshall Tucker played earlier in the day, and then the headliners were the Doobie Brothers that night. Everybody else went back to the hotel, but I hung out because I wanted to see them because I knew some of the guys. But, they pull up in their limo, they get out of the limo, they jump on stage, hand the guitars, 1, 2, 3, 4, they're into the first song. And I'm just watching them, and all of a sudden, the sax player starts playing. I'm going, wait, man, who is that? And I go, oh, holy crap, that's Mark Russo, He was just killing it,
I was hanging out. I hung out with them at the Hyatt Regency over here in Sarasota downtown, and we were all at the bar together. I think Mark was there too, and they were drinking. They're at the bar drinking like scotch and all kinds of other things, and me like an idiot come up and say, "It's all on me." And the bill was like $500. I didn't realize these guys were spending this kind of money on expensive liquor, and
well, you would think that everybody in the age they would have slowed down some by now, but some of them haven't,
Some of them haven't, no.
Yeah, that's the road you got to go down, for yourself,
I ended up in Mike Hossack's, the drummer, Mike, in his hotel room, and it was me and two other guys, and the rest of the night we were looking on the computer for who had the most beef cattle in the United States. That's what there was no parties, no girls, just a computer and looking up information.
Yeah, well, hey, welcome to the new age,
Exactly.
Oh, Lordy.
That's funny.
Anyway, I hope everybody appreciates the new Comet CD.
It's awesome.
I appreciate it getting it done. It's a little departure from the old albums, but it's got really good songs, and we are who we are, and we hope the fans appreciate it because we had fun making it, So.
Well, I gave that 5 stars as well because I really enjoyed the album, and like I said, there's two or three tracks on there could have been hits, on a top 40 radio,
Yeah, I mean, it's just a whole different thing,
Yeah.
It's sort of like when we were in the old days. I mean, we were in the heyday of our day, and all of a sudden, we'd had 2 or 3 albums out, that were really doing really well for us, and we were heading in the right direction. Then all of a sudden, disco came out.
I know.
And it's like, where do we fit in here?
Yeah.
So we did,
The only ones that fit in were the Bee Gees. They're the only ones that made a splash in disco that were, top 40 guys.
And they were well deserved. I mean, actually, Jock played on one of the BGLs on one track. He said, but they were down in Criteria, doing stuff while we were down there a couple times, and so, Jock got to fit in, and they asked him to come in and play on the track, and he did, and so he got his platinum, Bee Gees album on his wall for playing on one song. Hey, it works.
Yeah, exactly. Who do you think is the, two questions, who's the best flute player of all time, and who's the best sax player of all time?
Oh God, that's a hard one. Because I don't know all of the flute players. I'm sure there's lots of people out there that I'm missing and never been able to hear. But I can tell you from my standpoint of view, my favorite flute players is the toss-up is between Herbie Mann and Ned Sedora.
Yeah. Yep.
And Herbie Mann, he had like a lot of Latin influence on some of his live shows and stuff too. So that might be where I get that niche to play the flute really fits into Latin music anyway.
It does.
So, that's just the way that is. As well as the other things. Of course, when I was younger, listening to Jethro Tull,
Sure.
And, Jethro's a crazy man, so, but, I hope I got it planning on some new CDs, and Lynn Pico, our manager, he used to manage, Jethro, or Ian Anderson, I should call him Jethro, he gets pissed off. But he used to handle Ian Anderson, and, I was thinking, wouldn't it be great, if I could do a dual track with Ian Anderson, on flute, so I'm going to try to put that together and see if maybe that's a possibility in the future, so, because I'd love to do that. That'd be on my bucket list to be able to sit in the studio and play with Ian Anderson, so.
Well, you got the connection, Ann Layton.
Oh, yeah.
She's her the publicist of the American publicist for Ian.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
There you go.
She told me she's been involved, but between her and Lynn, I'm going, well, hey, maybe we can make that happen, if Jeff goes up for it. Ian Anderson, if I keep calling him Jeff, I'll never have it. But you know how that is. It's just association people.
Yep. Well, everybody thinks he's Jethro Tull,
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what?
He is, even though he is Ian Anderson, he is Jethro Tull.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I've gotten to interview him a couple of times. I just had Martin Barr on the show recently.
Cool.
Yeah. But you know what? I'm gonna email when we get off the phone. I'm gonna email Ann and tell her. Because he's doing a lot of collaborations now.
Yeah, I mentioned it to her.
Did you?
When we first spoke, and I think she said something about it, but excuse me. I'm just coughing a little bit here.
You guys can have a flute off.
We could do dueling flutes.
Dueling flutes. That'd be cool. I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I actually, Gary, our lead singer, he's for himself, he's working on the bluegrass album in Nashville. And I told him, hey, you need to get me on one of those tracks because, this would be a very, unusual thing, bluegrass flute,
That's right.
You don't hear that every day.
No, you don't. And it's time to be different.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we'll see what happens. Like I say, I'm just, I feel very fortunate that Firefall has this new CD out. Hopefully we can get back playing by the beginning of summer, not the middle of summer, not before, and hopefully things will get back to normal, so.
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope. And been a very unusual year, been a very trying year.
Yep.
A year of introspection, and I just feel sorry for all the people that died, from this pandemic, and it's just ridiculous, so. It is what it is, also.
I know. I've got an aunt that passed away from it, and I have an uncle that's in the hospital with it. And
Oh, God.
I've known so many people that caught it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't want to be, I don't want to make any, judgments or whatever, but, a lot of people are still out there not social distancing and wearing
Right.
masks and gathering in large, things. I mean, you're fine if you want to think that way, but you also, got to realize, it's like going to Vegas. You're gambling.
Exactly.
And you're not necessarily going to win. The odds are against you, So.
Well, the thing is, you don't know how it's going to affect you. Some people it doesn't,
Well, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, my brother got it and his family, and they just didn't seem to have any problem with it. And then other people, they end up dying from it. So you just don't know. It's a hit and miss thing. But, like I say, it's like gambling. You want to gamble, that's up to you. But the bad thing about that is if you gamble and you get it, and if you don't have any symptoms or you don't feel like you're having symptoms, you can be out there giving it to somebody that it may affect totally different, and that's the whole thing. That's the tragic part of it, So, I mean, especially older people, which I have to consider myself an older person now because,
Yeah, me too.
I wake up in the morning and look in the mirror and go, "What the hell is that?"
I know, inside our minds, we feel like we're still in high school, right? But
Oh yeah, I'm ready to get back out on the football field.
exactly. But our bodies say differently. Did you play football in high school?
Hell yeah, I was the captain of the JV team.
Really?
I love playing football, and then I also got in a rock band, and we'd go away on the weekends and play our music, chase women around, and come home with $35 in your pocket. I'm going, I mean, as much as I love to play football, I knew I was never big enough.
Right.
Fast enough. I played offense and defense. I was linebacker on defense and fullback on offense.
Oh, wow.
I had the attitude, but I didn't have the speed and the size.
Yeah.
So it's like a good decision on my part.
Yeah, I played baseball and I got hurt a lot. So I had a chance to get on a team in high school, and I decided to grow my hair out instead and listen to rock and roll.
Yeah, well, we weren't allowed to do that in our day. We had to, they used to give a shit for growing our hair long when I was going to school.
Really?
Anyway, going back to baseball, here's a little story. I used to play Little League baseball, and I always played outfield or played, shortstop. And then the coach got this big idea that I could be a pitcher. And all I had was a fastball. And the first game I pitched a no-hitter.
Wow.
I also hit 13, and we still lost the game. I don't know how many I walked, but I hit 13, and we lost the game, So by the end of the game, people were afraid to come up to the bat. They were seeing them with the ball, So, so my pitching career didn't last very long, So.
Wow, that's history there. You hit 13 and you lost the game and you got a no-hitter.
Got a no-hitter. Yeah, I have the newspaper article somewhere that shows, David Muse pitches no-hitter, walks 13. And down at the score and we lost the game, So.
That's crazy. Oh man. I had a pitching debut too because I had a really good arm in the outfield. And they scored 9 runs on me in like 2 innings, and that was the end of that.
Yeah, well, that's sort of where I was. That's why I played outfield. I could play center field and pretty much get the ball off the plate. I had to throw it one throw, So
yeah.
So I guess that's why the coach figured I could be a pitcher. And I did have a pretty good fastball. I just didn't have any control.
In Little League, we were afraid of you guys.
Well, hell, I'd have been afraid of me. 10, 11 guys get hit before me. If I'd have come up to bat, I'd have go, oh, no.
Exactly.
Anyway.
It's like facing Randy Johnson.
Anyway, we got off the subject again of this Comet, So I know I'm supposed to be doing, helping out with trying to get some people to buy this CD, and so.
Well, I'm going to promote the hell out of it. I've got like 5 different sites. This will be on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify. So I'm going to definitely get the word out. Yeah.
Good.
Here.
It's nice to talk history and stories with you, but I just wanted to make sure I don't get no grief at the end of the day for, not concentrating on the CD.
Well, Comet, the new album is 5 stars all the way. It's a great album. It's a very nice mix of tracks, and the one that really stands out to me is Ghost Town, because it does have,
I love that song too. I mean, that's why I brought it in. Michael Emmett. I can't say. I mean, it's not. A lot of everybody knows Tony Joe White, but also too, I wanted to say, bringing that up, that Michael's name was misspelled on the credits for the CD. It was written by Michael Emmett, spelled E-H-M-I-G, which they didn't spell it that way on the CD, and Tony Joe White. So basically, I just wanted to put that out there so that if anybody hears that, they'll know that it's Michael Emmett,
Right.
Because he has a lot of fans here in Pinellas County, and I mean, he used to be, he's a guy that would go out to a club, he'd play by himself and just mesmerize people, and he would sit there all night, and he'd play and never take a break, And I used to get on to him. I go, man, you're giving the rest of us a bad name, man. I got a small bladder. I got to go to the bathroom every 45 minutes, man. I can't sit up here for 4 hours.
Man, talk about dedication, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, he was a great guy, though. I miss him.
Yeah.
Very much.
Well, I had Tony Joe on the show before he passed away. Yeah, he's a great guy. We talked about Elvis. Elvis Presley always thought he was like his twin. They looked a lot alike too. And
I never knew Tony Joe White. I mean, I knew some of the songs, that he written, but never really knew him. But
he tried to teach Elvis some guitar licks, but he was stubborn. Elvis didn't want. Elvis only played a little, a few chords, and that was it. But he didn't want to learn. Elvis didn't want to learn.
Well, hey, he couldn't play guitar and make his moves on stage,
That's true.
It wouldn't hurt to write a song or two, but whatever. He didn't need any of that. He was the king.
He was the king. He was. We all miss him too,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Anyway.
David, here's your final question. All right. If you had a Field of Dreams wish like the movie to perform or collaborate with anyone from the past or present, who would that be?
Oh my God!
I get that reaction.
There's so many people, I don't know. I mean, I don't even have a list, because my psyche on the whole thing, I never had any idea of just becoming a successful rock and roll musician. I just didn't want to work a day job, and some of the positions I found myself in, we played at Carnegie Hall, and I remember being with Roy Buchanan, and I remember being backstage or in the hallways there and seeing all these classical musicians, that played there and just felt so unworthy, and I still feel that way today. I mean, I'm very fortunate, very lucky, and I have a certain amount of talent, but as far as the top-notch people in the world musically, there's so many. I mean, one of my favorite classical composers would have been Debussy, so I would have loved to maybe collaborate with him on something,
right.
And as far as the pop world goes, hey, I mean, who wouldn't want to play with the Beatles?
Yeah.
So, I don't know, and it's instrumental. It's like I said before, Nestor Torres, or would have been, somebody, and like we talked about before, Ian Anderson. I mean, I'd love to be able to do that, but I'm happy, just being able to do what I've done and the people I have played with. I feel so fortunate. I just never thought about, I'd like to do this, I'd like to do that, except for the Ian Anderson thing.
Right.
But anyway, answer to that question. So.
We got to make the Ian Anderson thing happen. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I would love that. I mean, that would be so honored, and humbled to be able to do that, because, he was an inspiration, in the old days when I was just, playing horns and stuff, because I used to play flute a lot, but, I mean, I've always gravitated towards the flute anyway, so I guess because it's so small, you can almost put it in your pocket, have those big things to lug around, so.
I played flute in elementary school, and I couldn't hack it. I kept getting head rushes. I kept getting head rushes, I got dizzy from...
Well, that's people, that happens very consistently. People start up because you're blowing too much air across it. You're losing too much air. It doesn't take that much air to really play it. It's not like a saxophone, especially like a baritone sax, where,
right.
You got to have some good lungs, to play a baritone sax. But flute, you can pretty much whisper into, which I do a lot, I whisper and flutter, and that gets me by, so.
I don't know how you do it, man, especially the solo, because that's a long solo you do,
Oh, well, it's, I mean, that's what I love to do, and I love, when you get those spots to stretch out a little bit, you just like to do that, because I just like to play, so, I mean, and a lot of times, when you have a set that's constricted to 45 minutes, or if we're headlining, 90 minutes, you get a few spots where you can stretch out, but, But I have to say, when I play with Marshall Tucker, I mean, you could have a guitar solo go on there for 20 minutes.
Yeah. Well, at least you got the song Can't You See, which has got a lot of flute in it.
We do that. We used to do that a little different, but I mean, there was a song called Midnight Promises that we used to do all the time. It was written by Toy, and the guitar solos would just go on, and it's basically 3 chords, so you sit there for 20 minutes playing 3 chords, and you go, where the hell is this guitar solo going to end, I mean, you hate to be in that way, but it's like, sometimes that's what happens, You just go on and on and on. How much more are you going to say of the same thing, so.
Well, what's a good thing about Firefall? I mean, you play flute, you play sax, and you play keyboards, so you got your pick.
Yeah, pretty much. A little bit of harmonica. I've made a career out of being a harmonica player, knowing only about 5 licks. I don't really consider myself a, serious harp player, but I've gotten on a lot of tracks on a lot of albums, and just take what I do and make it fit in, and that's what it's all about. I mean, when it comes to recording the songs, it's finding the things that fit with the song and add to it flavor-wise. I mean, that's kind of what I did. I mean, my part in the band was basically taking it out of the total guitar realm and adding a little icing on the top of the cake, with different colors and different things, synthesizer sounds, and even on Cinderella, the harmonica. I mean, they had no idea. I remember when we cut that track. I said, well, I'll play a little harmonica. See, maybe you guys like this, and went in and did a couple things. I said, yeah, it works, it's put down, so that's how that happened.
Yeah, I was talking to Jock, I think it was Jock, it was either Jock or Mark talking about Cinderella, how that almost got banned on the radio or something like that.
Yeah, for the lyrics, the Bible Belt South Dakota lyrics, goddamn girl. I understand that. I mean, these days and times that ain't nothing,
I know.
Back then, I mean, I wish there was a little, I mean, I'm not for censorship, but, there's a few things that maybe I don't really want to see or hear.
Yeah. I mean,
anyway.
That's so mild compared to what the rap stars say.
Yeah. But I mean, it was the same thing back in the day. I mean, look, when the Beatles started out, and I had that band, the Beatles albums, and they burned all the albums and stuff.
Right. I know.
It's like, what's offensive about this? They're talking about love,
Yeah. Well, I tell you what was very offensive that the Beatles did and I'm glad they got rid of it, was that Butcher album, with the babies.
Yeah. Cover on that, yeah.
That was horrible, man.
I'm glad somebody talked them out of that.
Exactly. I don't know what they were thinking there.
I don't know. It must have been a bad trip or something.
It had to be.
I don't.
It had to be. Dave, thank you so much, man, for being on the show today. I really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you having me and the opportunity to talk about our new album. And
it's a great album.
It's been very pleasurable. Thank you.
Great album, and I love your solo album as well. And I'm telling you, man, that really stuck out. And I love you doing jazz. It's incredible.
Oh, well, hey, I love doing it too. It's just that's a hard world to break into, though. I mean, I got quite a bit of airplay on that, but I never broke into Cashbox or any of that stuff. I didn't get on Sirius Radio, which was a little disappointing.
Yeah.
But I got a lot of airplay all over the world, really. So which is good.
Well, it's a shame that the jazz genre, man, it's just not what it used to be. It's a shame.
Well, I mean, I understand. I mean, it's just smooth jazz. I mean, I never really considered calling the CD a jazz CD because it's more of an instrumental CD.
Right.
That's basically what smooth jazz is. It's just instrumental music, So it's not, straight ahead jazz or bebop or anything like that, So that's a whole different world.
Yes, it is.
I don't think I get to function in that world,
Right. Well, Dave, thank you again, man. The album's awesome, and hopefully you'll be on tour again very soon. I hope you make that gig in Clearwater. I hope that happens.
Well, I hope so too. That'd be an easy one for me because I can come home and sleep in my own bed, which is.
If when all this goes away, maybe we can have a coffee or a bite to eat or something in Clearwater. I'll meet you up there.
Yeah, anytime in this area, give me a call, man, and we'll get together, once we get back to that point,
That'd be great.
Oh, I love that. First time I met you, but you seem like a really nice guy, and I appreciate that. Appreciate everything you've done to do to help us out with this new CD. And let's go have some coffee from this game,
Yep, Dafek will let you.
Yeah, hey, I'm just a Southern boy. I mean, my Spanish is nowhere.
Yeah, but you hung around Ybor, I'm sure.
Anyway, but I've had my exposure though. I used to play with a band called the Big Rivers Band, had down in Kenny Suarez and Danny Yanis.
Right.
One thing. And we used to play at the Columbia Restaurant in the house band there for a while.
Really?
Which was Oh yeah, that was a experience in itself, Because the old man, when he was still alive, the guy that owned, Columbia, he would never let you have any drinks on stage. You could have water, you could have anything.
Oh gosh.
It was a pet peeve of his, And it's like, what the hell is this,
Yeah.
But anyway, enough of that, So.
Well, I'm surprised you didn't learn a little Spanish from Joe.
I was laughing too much to learn it.
Yeah, I miss him. He was a funny guy. He was.
He was.
Yeah.
Anyway, I appreciate your time. And
all right, Joe.
When things get to normal, give me a call. You got my number now.
I do.
Get up this way, and we'll get together. I'd love to do that. So.
All right, Dave. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
You have a great day. I appreciate it.
You too. Take care. Bye-bye. Purchase the latest release by Firefall entitled Comet. 5 stars all the way. It's a great album. First album for Firefall in, 25 years. Formed by the former members of the Byrds, Flying Burrito Brothers, Spirit, and Zephyr. Firefall's commercial success includes 3 gold albums, 2 platinum albums, and 11 chart-topping singles. The band's biggest hit, You Are the Woman, has been played on commercial radio more than 8 million times and has also appeared over 75 films and television shows. For the past 4 decades, Firefall has toured the world and shared stages with other iconic bands such as Fleetwood Mac, The Band, The Beach Boys, Kenny Loggins, Journey, Heart, ELO, and of course the Marshall Tucker Band. Currently touring with 3 original members, Jock Bartley, David Muse, and Mark Andes, longtime drummer Sandy Fica, and talented newcomer Gary Jones. For more information about David Muse and Firefall, visit www.firefall.squarespace.com. They're on Facebook, facebook.com/firefallofficial, instagram.com/firefallofficial, and also David Muse's official website, www.davemuse.com. Very special thanks to the wonderful Ann Layton of Layton Media arranging this interview with David Muse, and of course the dynamic duo of Doug and Don Newsom of BBS Radio for making the magic happen for each and every broadcast of Interviewing the Legends. And of course, like always, if you have comments or suggestions for the show, you can always contact me at interviewingthelegends@gmail.com. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Interviewing the Legends with Ray Shasho, for the very latest interviews right into your mailbox. It is real news, people. And please buy my new book, which is finally out, entitled The Rockstar Chronicles. This is Series 1, and I hope to have 4 series. Chronicles Truths, Confessions, and Wisdom from the music legends that set us all free. You can order yours today on hardcover or ebook at bookbaby.com and amazon.com. It features over 45 intimate conversations with some of the greatest rock legends the world will ever know. It got 5 stars from Literary Titan. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time. God bless. Stay healthy and have a great week.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to Interviewing the Legends. Brought to you by the Publicity Works Agency. Call 941-877-1552 or visit us at publicityworksagency.com, specializing in author and music artist publicity plans. We shine when we make you shine. Tune in to Interviewing the Legends every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Pacific Time on PBS Radio, Station 1.